Hello, everyone. This is Renee Rentmeester. I'm the creator and executive producer of the Cooking Without Looking TV show and podcast. And if you are listening here, you are listening to our podcast. I'm here today. You're going to really love this because I think this is like totally so special. We have Melissa Reyna here. She's visually impaired, and she has a program where she teaches people who are blind to skate. Hello, Melissa.
Good morning, or should I say almost afternoon over here.
That's right. It's noon for me. It's morning for you. And you're calling in from where, Melissa?
In Houston, Texas.
Oh, that's cool. Have you been dealing with the rains, or hasn't been happening there?
No, the rains have been here off and on pretty much for the whole week. So we expect it going into the weekend as well.
What fun.
I know. I know.
Well, so Melissa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born prematurely, and the treatment that they gave me to keep me alive actually caused the damage to the nerves in the back of my eye, which they diagnosed me at the age of 2 with having retinopathy of prematurity. So that's how, I ended up becoming legally blind or visually impaired. And I've just been fighting through it since then. I'm pretty much a go-getter, never was hindered or, like babied, I guess, to the sense to where my parents wanted to do everything for me because they were afraid I couldn't. It was the total opposite. So I was just kind of, you know, given direction and said, go for it, like figure it out.
Well,
So that's,
I can hear that in just you speaking. I can hear the way you are. I can feel that off of you. So, if you
yes.
had to describe to someone, what do you see, or what can't you see?
Oh, that's a really good question. Honestly, people to this day still don't know what I can or can't see. I don't really like to tell a lot of people, but I'm gonna let you
Ah,
guys in on it only because
keeping a secret here
only
from us,
yeah,
huh?
only because especially for those that have young kids, they're really curious to know what you can and can't see. So my daughter is now 29, but trust me, I was tested many times on what I can and can't see with her.
I can
So
imagine she must have a whole bookload of that.
yeah, definitely. It was just like, let me see if I can get away with this. Oh, she saw me. So it's one of those things. And she still asks me, I still don't know how much you can or can't see. I said, and you never will. You never
Oh
will.
my gosh. Well, then
But
we won't let her know about this podcast. We'll
I
keep
know,
it a
right?
secret.
So for me, I can see objects that are fairly, large. Um Contrast is really big for me. So I do need, things that are high contrast. If I'm out and about and the sidewalk and the edge of the curb are the same color with no painted, separation, that I can tell there's a difference between the step down and, the sidewalk, I'll literally just keep walking straight and then
Oh my.
drop. So yeah, definitely contrast is huge. Um, and again, I don't see blurry, I see pretty clear. I don't have a regular TV, so it was ingenious. So this is my epiphany when I was, a couple years back, let's say like 6 years ago. I moved into my new place, and I'm just like, I'm really tired of sitting on a bar stool next to my TV or sitting on the floor, where the TV may be in a console or something, and you're at eye level with the TV. I don't want to always be up close. I want to sit in the back on the sofa like everyone else.
And
You
relax.
have this separation of how your visual acuity is just like you can tell the difference even at home, and you have family over or you live with family, you're always never right next to them enjoying the show if you want to have, the ability to see what you are able to.
Right.
Those that aren't able to, of course, it's just either audio description or your family is the audio description.
And they get
So
tired of that probably,
yeah,
right?
oh, I know, yes. they get used to it, but not to say that they're always, wanting to happily do it. They want to enjoy the show themselves. But I know for family, it's pretty much just, secondhand. It's easy for them to just go ahead and do it. Even at times when you may not need it, they still do it. So for me, I ended up putting a projector in my living room.
Oh,
So the screen is 120 inches. I could have went larger, but then I wouldn't have a lot of living area.
you and your TV.
Yeah, just me and the TV. So I was like, I need to try something. So it was amazing. It's called a short throw projector, only because I don't have a lot of distance between where the projector is and where the screen is. Usually for a projector, you have this wide space between you and between the projector and the screen. Like at a movie theater, the projector is
Right.
usually behind you, way in the back, and the screen is way up in the front. Yeah, so a lot of people don't know how to shop for projectors, but trust me, if I'm interested in knowing about something, I'm diving all in. Like, this is how I learn.
What
I
a
have
cool
to
idea.
submerge myself. Yeah, so definitely the projector has been amazing. And not only that, I have this theater setting space now, and everybody always wants to come over and watch movies. So it's kind of a win-win. You have fun with your girlfriends or your family, wanting to come over and just hang out all the time.
Oh, that's cool. Or
Yeah.
not, one way or the other.
Yeah, or not, or you enjoy it all by yourself. And I watch TV, so I have a Fire TV stick hooked up to it, so I literally am watching TV every day on it. It's not just movies,
Wow,
yeah.
120 inches, you said, right?
Yes, and it's important to know, like, you have to have a really good screen as well as a projector. You just can't go out and get a $200 projector from Amazon.
Right, because
You
those
have to
dots are
really
gonna look real
invest.
weird.
Yes, definitely. And again, because I use the projector every day, I have to change. There's a bulb in it. It's not similar to a light bulb. It's actually got a piece of metal that's connected to it that goes into the projector. So I actually have someone come in and change it out every year. That's the only extra, added and, part of it.
That's not too
It's
bad.
just it's not too bad at all. It just depends on the projector and how many like how many views it'll allow you to have. Like, so each bulb has lumens, and those lumens go out after so many hours of it being on, and it kind of gives you a rundown. But again, I just think it's like the best thing I could have ever really thought to do for myself, and I share it with those that I know who are visually impaired.
I bet there are a lot of people who would like to know about that because,
Yes.
I'm certain there are people just sitting on top of their TV set.
Yes.
Like when I was growing up, that was like the worst thing you could do. Oh my God, all these rays are gonna get you, and you're not
Yeah,
gonna be
you're
able to
gonna
have
hurt your eyes
children.
even more. Like, how much more can
Oh
you hurt your
my,
eyes if they're already damaged?
that's right. No, nothing to ruin there.
I know. It's already done.
Oh my God.
Let me
Well,
enjoy life.
that's right. It exactly. Well, tell us a little bit about your life.
Well, again, like I said, I have a 29-year-old daughter. It's really crazy. So I have this really quick story to share. So when she was born, this was 1993, y'all. Okay, so when she
My
was
daughter's the
born,
same age. I can
well, when I was
relate.
at the hospital, yeah, when I was at the hospital, the day after I had her, I ended up having a C-section. She didn't want to leave me, like she didn't want to leave at all. So they had to force her out.
She's clinging to
Like, it's
mom.
yeah, it's time for you to come on out. So after I had her, the following morning, I wanted to see her because I kept having this nightmare, like, even though I was under anesthesia and I was in and out of it all night, until the next day. I had this nightmare that I don't remember what she looked like when they showed her to me, because I don't think they brought her close enough to me
Oh,
after they had taken her out. Like, I don't remember how she looked. So I was like, oh my God, what if somebody takes her and switches her? Or what if I get another person's baby? Like all night, this is what I
Oh
kept
my
thinking about.
God.
So, and it was just because I was like, I don't remember, I think they forgot that I wasn't able to see that well. So they just lifted her up like they would do a vision, someone with sight and say, here's your
Sure.
baby. And I
Here it
was just,
is.
yeah. So when I asked to see, can I see her? They were like, is someone gonna be here with you in the room? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, yeah, you have to have somebody in the room with you. I'm like, why? And the nurse was like, because you're not able to see. And I
Oh,
was like, really? When did this happen? And this was at the time where I didn't really know about advocating for myself, or, I didn't know about that there were laws to protect me as a blind or visually
apparently
impaired
they didn't
person.
either.
Correct. And it was just one of those things I was just so unaware of. But it shocked me. And I was just like, so you mean to tell me you're not going to bring my daughter to me? And they're like, we can't. It's a liability. And I was just like, okay, now what do I do? So the only thing I could think to do was, you call your mom. Yeah. Mom
Yeah,
will take care
right?
of it. Yeah. This was the one time my mom better do something, right?
I know exactly.
Like, you threw me out to the wolves. Here, do something today. Do something today.
You wanted to cling to your mom too.
Yeah, so I needed her that day, but and then at the time, she lived a good distance. I think it took about 35-40 minutes for her to usually get to me. And then this day particularly, she got there in 20. I don't know what happened, but she got there in 20. And I just hear excuse me, everyone, I have bad allergies today.
That's
I
okay.
just hear this lady yelling down the hall. Like, I could hear a lady cussing people out in Spanish and yelling down the hallway. You better bring, my daughter's baby to her. That's not right. That's not right. I sue. I will sue. And I'm just like, oh God, okay. But they brought my kid. And I'm
Well,
just
you
like,
see,
I was never, I would have never thought that I would have had that happen to me, and going into these blind groups on Facebook, you hear a lot of it still, where you have
people
people
are.
questioning blind people or visually impaired people. Are you even sure you're able to have kids and be a parent? And that's crazy. Today you hear people,
Unbelievable.
leaving, or you read the post, and I'm just like, this is absolutely
It's
ridiculous,
ignorance.
very, very ignorant, and not knowing. That's the sad part.
You know what's weird is, and I think I've seen this before. People equate blindness sometimes with a mental ability,
Yes.
and
Or hearing. Hearing
right,
inability.
right,
Yes.
exactly. You know
Hmm.
what? I'll just take this moment to share this story.
Uh-huh.
Something similar happened to me, except it was again, I was sleeping and I had just had Lauren, and I woke up and it was the middle of the night. My daughter was gone. Now, apparently, I had watched too many Geraldo episodes or something. Somebody stole my baby.
See, you had the same.
And you know what? I could barely walk because I had like one of those little operations.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was on my toes,
Right.
holding the back of that little night, what they call a nightgown.
Right.
And I was in my bare feet and I didn't care. And I went running around the hall to the desk. And I'm like, who took my baby? My baby's
Oh,
missing.
wow.
And
Oh,
it was like you wake up out of your sound sleep and your baby's gone.
yes,
And
yes.
you've watched too many 60 Minutes episodes where
Right.
people can walk into
During
hospitals.
those days. Now it's Lifetime. Yeah.
Right. And so she goes, "Oh, no, 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 you go back to bed. You're gonna cut yourself. You have bare feet." I'm like, "I don't care. I'm not gonna sue. I just want my baby back." And
Yes.
I guess they'd been giving her a bath, and then they showed me the baby, and so they got me back to bed. I calmed down a little bit, but no, I
Yes.
totally get you.
it, it's a frightening thought, just to put yourself in this position, and you just never know. So even as she was growing up, I would always make sure I either had to be able to see her or hear her. If I
Oh.
couldn't do either of the two, then I was paranoid.
Right.
I was like, "Where's my kid? Where's my baby?" So she was, even now, grown as she's grown. We talk about, remembering those times when, like, "Oh, do you remember when?" And she's like, "Mama, do you remember that time?" And I'm like, "Oh, here we go."
This story again.
Yeah, here's another here's another time where you're gonna tell me how blind I was. But it's pretty interesting. So yeah, my daughter, she's doing really well for herself. I like to brag about her. Of course, all parents do, right?
Right, that's right. That just comes with the territory.
Yes. But as far as for me, school, let's talk about school. So being blind or visually impaired in the 80s, not easy. Not easy at all. The resources were limited, technology was little to none. It was very difficult. And also, being different, you're treated differently by your peers, even by the teachers. I don't know how to teach someone who can't see, so we're not going to make you go and do, spelling classes or math classes until we figure it out. So I literally was behind in education, for a good while. Like I didn't have the classes that everyone else had all the time. They weren't available to me because they didn't know how to teach me. So I would
Wow.
get stuck in, learning ed or special ed classes, things like that. Obviously, I didn't need them because growing up, after high school, and I hated school because of it. It just was one of those, not it was not a fun time in my life. Just school period,
Right.
grade school at all. So my mom was just so adamant about me going to college. I mean, it's just the thing that you do as a parent. You go to high school, you go to college, then you get a job. Or, you don't go to college, you get a job. Then you figure out what you want to do, but you're going to go to college. So she kind of threw me out there again, hey, figure it out. And I didn't do well because I wasn't ready. I didn't want to even be there. I just kept thinking this is going to be a repeat of high school. It just wasn't a good experience for me. So going into my 30s, I decided, well, okay, now I'm ready to do something with my life. So I decided to do the hardest thing ever, which was let's go to college for electrical engineering.
Oh my God.
So, I was always a nerd. I was always a gadget crazy person. I love taking things apart. I used to always, so we're talking going back to my, our time here. I used to always take VHS, cassette tapes, VCR tapes, anything that I could take apart that wasn't going to shock me. I was taking it apart only because I wanted to see if I could put it back together again.
Oh my
And
God. You like a
yeah,
challenge.
yeah, and I started doing this by accident. So, okay, to this day, I'm not really a, a I can't even say it, a fan of cats. I like dogs better than cats because
Mhm.
cats are just a little too sneaky for me. So, but my dad brought this cat home from work. He used to work in the plants, and this little cat was by itself. So he brought it home, and we ended up keeping it. Well, this cat used to always mess up my cassette tapes. And
Oh
I'm just like,
no.
what is it with you pulling all this film out of my cassette tape? So I would have to figure out how to bring them back in, and they were twisted. So that's how I ended up starting to take things apart. It's kind of weird, but that's what happened. And I just loved taking things apart and figuring out how they worked. So my mom was like, hey, computers are where it's at. You're going to make money doing this. I'm like, oh, yeah, everybody wants to make money. So let me go for it. I went into my first semester of electrical engineering. Now, remember, in high school, I didn't have that much math because they kind of just let me go into and do whatever. Like, we're going to put you in the class, but you don't have to do everything that all the other students are doing because you can't see it. We're not going to even bother explaining it to you. So this is where I was on math level, really basic.
Sure.
Here I am sitting in a circuits class
Oh my.
They draw these schematics, and for those that don't know, a schematic is like a blueprint. But it's showing you the digital circuitry of an area or a space that, inside of a building or a room, whatever the case may be. So you have all of these symbols and formulas for how to figure out what to do with inductors and capacitors, and all of these things are just blowing my mind.
Oh my God.
And I left out of that classroom with tears just coming down my face.
Oh,
Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this.
oh no.
But luckily I went to a community college, so it wasn't like this huge class where you're one of, I don't know how many people in a
You're
class,
just an
and
amoeba.
right, like you're just a number, you're not even a person anymore, right?
Right.
So luckily I went to this community college because I figured this would be easier. They're smaller classes. I kind of already put those two things together. So the professor was like, if you're willing to work hard, I'm willing to help you. And that's all I needed to hear, because I was willing to and ready, but I just didn't know how I was going to do it.
That's
And
all
in
any of
high
us need.
school, yeah, in high school they don't do that. You teach a whole class, you're done after that. There is no, there's tutoring if you need it, but I mean, tutoring back in the 80s was not the same as what it is now.
No, no.
So, so I was just like, I don't know how this is going to work. So literally I would go into class for 2 hours if it was a lecture class. And after everyone left, I would stay another 2 hours, and he would teach me that same class all over again, where I was able to stand in front of the whitewash where he drew the schematics and the formulas out and explained everything to me. This is how I got through 5 years of college. And for my
Wow.
4 hour classes, that were labs, I would do the same thing. 3 to 4 hours in a lab class for everyone. Then I would stay behind 2 hours after, and that would be a
Wow.
different professor. So all of my professors were willing to help me.
That
That's
is
how I got through.
wonderful.
Yeah. So I completed that, first visually impaired person to complete that program at that college with honors. Just complete it, period, but with honors.
Oh my
And that to
God.
me was just amazing. I was just like, I felt good, but then again, I was like, well, that's kind of sad. Like, why aren't more people wanting to do what they want, what they think they're able to, and what they desire to do? You know,
Some people give up before they start trying, and you were willing to keep trying, keep trying, keep trying.
yes, definitely. That's the key. You have to push yourself if you want to, move
No
forward.
matter
Like,
no matter who
yeah,
you are or what you have, whether you're blind or visually impaired or sighted, you have to push yourself for what you want.
right, definitely. So
Well,
after that, I just ended up going into business for myself. That kind of faded out after a few years when things started becoming smaller, micro, mini. We're gonna go into something other than large desktops with, you know, big CPU units. Like, this is not what we're doing anymore. So I had to figure out what to do. That's when I decided to do baking. So I did baking for about 8 years. I went to culinary school for just to improve my skills that I already had, because I was baking one item, and I was doing it well, so well that I was in the Houston Press lots of times. I was, recognized and acclaimed awards for doing that. So
my
it's
God,
just one of those things where you have to push yourself and figure out what it is that you enjoy, and figure out how you're going to do that. How will you succeed in doing this on your own, because you can't rely on other people all the time. So you have to pick yourself up and figure out how this is going to work for you, how you're going to be able to do it with the vision that you have or don't have. You have to know how to help yourself. That is just so important. um
exactly. Now, Melissa, how did you get into roller skating?
Roller skating was just by accident. So I used to roller skate as a teenager, up and down my block, and just pretty basic with it. Like I said, my mom just was like, you can do whatever you want to do as long as you feel like you can do it. I'm going to support you. So I would be out there with my brother's skateboard or his BMX bike, or even, my own pair of skates. And I had two different kinds. I had those old school ones that were metal and you put over your actual
Oh
shoe.
my God,
Or and
yes.
yeah, and those things were like loud. It was like tin cans going down the street. That's all you heard was just
All
like
that
the scraping of the
clacking.
metal. Yeah. And then I had actual skates. So I would just practice up and down every day because I didn't really have a lot of friends. I had a few, but I just didn't have a lot because I was different, you know.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
and I wasn't the type to go out and want to meet people at that time either. I was still figuring myself out as far as my abilities and capabilities.
sure.
I found that to be more important than going out and having a social life because this is what drives me today. So just wanting to do it again and seeing that it's coming back, I was like, I think I can do it. So I just got up one day and said, I think I want to skate. And my daughter is very supportive. She's like, I'll buy you your first pair. I'm like, bet. So that's how it started. I ended up reaching out to the skating community, found a private instructor. We ended up being so, really, really close friends now. We're close friends. And, I'm like, hey, if I want to do this, I know there's other people that want to do this. There has to be other people that are blind and visually impaired that want to do this. I'm not the only one. So I just pretty much started throwing the idea out there, trying to figure out how I would do this program, how I would put it together. And yeah, it's still a learning process, but we're actually going into our last beginners class this coming up week. And after that, we're going to take the beginners into intermediate for another 4 classes.
Well,
And
Melissa,
then,
if people
yeah,
want to reach out to you, how do they reach out to you? We're coming to the end here, and we'll tell them
definitely.
about your Belgian waffles, how they can
Yes,
find the
definitely. This
recipe.
is
But
cooking without looking, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
So definitely,
tell them how they can reach out to you.
definitely. I'm on social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can reach me by looking up Reyna, the blind skater, and that's Reyna, the blind skater. Or you can look me up under Sensibility Skate, which is Sense. I think that's a dash or a hyphen, Ability skate. So yeah, definitely. If you're interested, we're going to start our next beginners course next summer, only because we're taking the students that we have now into intermediate and advanced classes. So we want
Well,
everybody to be able to skate with confidence.
that sounds like so much fun. And Melissa, if any of you listening want to get Melissa's Belgian waffle recipe, you can find that on our website, www.cookingwithoutlookingtv.wordpress.com. Again, that's www.cookingwithoutlookingtv.wordpress.com. Thank you so much for being with us, Melissa. It's been really a lot of fun and a pleasure to speak with you.
No, thank you. It's been an honor to be on your show. I appreciate you having me. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And good luck on the new season of skating.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.